It's something called synthetic division. And I'll be honest with you, unless they forced me to, I would never use synthetic division unless it was a case like the first one, where I'm dividing by a binomial with degree of 1. You can't use synthetic division with a degree greater than 1, but also a leading coefficient of 1. We're going to see how to get around that in the other ones, but it's really not the best way to do it. So, normally, I would only use synthetic division for something like this first one. If b plus 2, because I'm finding the zeros of a function, b plus 2 equals 0, then b equals negative 2. So I'm going to do synthetic division with negative 2, and then I'm going to write my coefficients down, 8, 7, and then my constant of negative 17. Now, once I do that, again, if I have any missing terms, I'd put a 0 to hold its place. I bring the 8 down, and then I'm going to multiply that number by negative 2, get negative 16, and write it here. 7 and negative 16 is negative 9. Multiply that number by negative 2, which is positive 18, and put it here. Negative 17 and 18 is positive 1. Now we had an 8b squared to begin with, and we've divided it by a b. So this is now 8b instead of 8b squared minus 9, which means this is our remainder, so plus 1 over b plus 2. Now these are the same problems from your notes the other day, so you can compare and see that they're really the same answer. Here's where I run into problems, and here's where normally I would not use synthetic division, because this is a 3n plus 8. What I really have to do is to factor this 3 out and make this n plus 8/3, which means I'm going to put a negative 8/3 here. And then, at some point at the end, we're going to have to do a big divide by 3 to take care of that 3. So, I have 18, 69, 59, and 8. I didn't have any missing terms, so I don't have to put a 0 anywhere. I bring my 18 down, multiply that by negative 8/3, so it's going to be negative. 18 divided by 3 is 6, times 8 is 24. 69 minus 24 is 45. Multiply that by a negative 8/3. Positive times a negative is a negative. 45 divided by 3, is 15. And somewhere I just did something wrong. Because I would say 15 times 8, but you know what? This is not what I'm trying to do. So make sure that I did this right. So divided by 3 is 6, times 8 is 48, not 24. Okay, I'm going to go back and fix that, and if you didn't already catch it, you should do it too. So 48, which leaves me 21 times negative 8/3. 21 divided by 3 is 7, times 8 is 56. 59 minus 56 is 3, and negative 8/3 times 3 is negative 8, which means my remainder is 0. So again, this becomes 18n squared, but I need to divide everything by 3. So 6n squared plus 21n plus 3. See, I just did it again. Hopefully you guys caught that as you went through. Plus 7n plus 1. And I have to write this big divide by 3 out to the side, otherwise I kind of forget to do it at the end. And the reason we're doing that, go back to long division. If we were just dividing this by 3n plus 8, 3n times 6n squared would give me the 18n cubed. Because we factored this 3 out, we're not taking that 3 into account, and at some point we need to. So here, I would factor the 10 out, so I have 10 times v plus 1/2. So then I'm going to divide take negative 1/2, and at some point I'm going to divide everything by 10, and I'm going to remind myself of that. So negative 1/2, 10v to the 4th, 5v cubed. I don't have a v squared, so I need to put a 0 in to hold that place. 30v and 6. So bring down my 10, multiply by negative 1/2, which is 0, times negative 1/2 is 0, bring down a 0, times negative 1/2 is 0 again, which brings down a 30, And then 30 times negative 1/2 is negative 15, and I bring down a negative 9. Now, here's something that's kind of weird, and this is the thing to remember, and again, one other reason why I do not normally use synthetic division for this. If I divide everything by 10, I get 1, 0, 0, 3, and negative 9/10. But that negative 9/10 is going to be like minus 9/10 over v plus 1/2. That's not going to be a simplified fraction. By the time I simplify it, it's going to be minus 9 over 10 times v plus 1/2. And when I distribute the v, the 10, it's going to be minus 9 over 10v plus 5. Which means when I'm doing this divide by 10, it's easier to not divide the remainder by 10, because it's going to be minus 9 over this thing. So just leave it minus 9 over that thing instead of having to work your way back to it. So I end up with v cubed, because it was a v to the fourth, and I divided by a v. 0v squared, 0v, so plus 3 is my constant, and then minus 9 over 10v plus 5. Again, given the choice of what to divide by, I would not use synthetic division unless it was like A.